Hey guys, it's Vast here, and today I'm going to be making a part 2 of the video that I did yesterday because the People Make Games interview was such a long video, and the David Simmons part was such needed to be commented on. It needed its own video, and I do apologize for cutting it out and not editing at all. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things, getting back into YouTube, but I promise you this one today is going to be a banger. Let's get into it, guys. Alright, let's get right into it. So this is about 15 minutes into the video, and it's very interesting. I did watch this yesterday, so this is not going to be like a true reaction, I guess, but it really needs to be commented on. It does need to. Some things that David Simmons has said is, yeah, it's things that we as Entropia players agree on, but some of the stuff he's said is kind of going around, and it honestly feels bad. I feel bad for David and what he said in this video, but let's get right into it, man.
Questions that I have.
Do you consider Entropia Universe a gambling game?
No, absolutely not. Ever since inception and even 1998, Entropia Universe was built with the view of making it a skill-based game.
Okay, but poker is a skill-based game.
So he does say a lot here. So Quinn's is like digging them right down into a lot of hard questions that he more than likely wasn't prepared to answer, and I really do not follow the stance that Entropia Universe is a gambling game. I feel like it's a game with a real cash-based element that people have taken advantage of in the past. There's no denying that people do gamble in this game. Is it a gambling game? No. Do you have the option to? Yes. You can't deny that.
But also clearly a gambling game. Games aren't one or the other. There's clearly a skill-based element in Entropia, but are you saying there is not a gambling element?
What I'm saying is there's quite a few famous people which have said life is a gamble. When you moved down from wherever you were down to Brighton, calculated risk, or was it a bit of a gamble as well to see whether you like it? When you change jobs, when you go out, if I take my car to work, or if I take my bicycle, there's more chance of me actually having an accident, which I did 3 weeks ago, fell off my boat.
So the one thing that I have to say about this is that he's trying really, really, really hard not to say this game is gambling for the regulations and everything. And my entire thing is, you can't buy strong boxes in Sweden, and where they are, Mindark is based in Sweden. And as far as I'm aware, I may be completely wrong. I don't think any other places cannot just buy them other than Sweden, which is the company's headquarters, right? So I mean, he's trying really hard here, and he's twisting the question. I mean, I know he's trying really hard not to say it is because he can. I'm not saying anything against David Simmons here. All I have to say is, life's a gamble. Yeah, I could have taken my car, but I rode to my bike and I broke my collarbone, and that was a gamble. Yeah, sure, that happened. But like, it's just avoiding the question. I have nothing against David or Quinn's in this situation at all, but I mean, you can't deny he's evading this question as much as he can, and you can tell that he is trying not to say anything wrong for his because he knows this is going to be published. I think I don't know what I would do in David's situation either, and I applaud him for being as abrupt as he can.
For my collarbone. So I was really taking more of a gamble there when I was actually taking a bike instead of taking a car.
That is a lovely comparison, but is that you then saying that there is a gambling element in Entropia?
No. No, what we have done, we have followed all of the rules and regulations to show, which we have done, that it is a skill-based game.
But is it not the case that governments are only now moving to regulate areas they did not have to regulate before? And Entropia, in being the world's only cash-based MMO, is not going to be subject to the same level of government scrutiny as enormous gambling industries?
I can only go back to say what I actually said before. We know what the rules are, and if we look at the rules in Sweden,
he's doing a lot of good things here. I really do feel like Quinn's is just butchering down. Like, our interviews that me and Quinn did were not like this. I feel like he's really like trying, like almost interrogating him here, and it makes him look bad. I'm not for or against either party in this situation. It's just interesting how he's responding to some of these things.
Sweden and other parts of the world, which we've shown we're a skill-based game, that we are following the rules which are given to us to make it into a skill-based game.
What I'm asking is, do you think those rules are sufficient? So this is a quote from a debate this month on loot boxes in the British House of Lords. If a product looks like gambling and feels like gambling, it should be regulated as gambling. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I will say this. Yeah, there are gambling elements in the game. I definitely agree. Some of them feel like gambling. But there is a calculated risk in everything you do as an Entropia player. And I keep on, like yesterday's video, if you haven't seen part 1, you should be seeing it. You should have saw part 1 beforehand. If you haven't, I'm the top left corner right there to look at it. But, man, he says that he's done things with the laws, but Sweden's one of the only countries that can't buy strong boxes. And I don't necessarily know why that is, so don't quote me on why the reason is. I just know from talking to players that they are not allowed to do it. So I'm not... Yeah, it's a hard question.
It's such a narrow-minded, ridiculous to me statement. I think that the money which the EU spends on trying to change antiquated old laws, and they spend millions of euros, thousands of hours of some ridiculous law which has been probably from 100 years ago, which they try and change, which we don't even probably know about and will make no difference to us at all. How can they make a sweeping statement like that? It's a bit sort of ridiculous to us.
Right, okay. Moving on. Entropia is designed in a way that it's possible for players to spend incredible amounts of money hunting or crafting in a very short amount of time, especially high-level players. What do you do to make sure that players aren't spending more than they can afford?
There's information on our website, Responsible Gaming, so that people can go in there. We want people to take rests. We can actually see if they're spending too much money. We ask them to contact us.
So the one thing I do say about that statement is that I've played this game for a very long time. I don't spend much money on the game, and I'm having a really good time. But I don't think I've ever heard. I guess it might be just shame that Mindark emailed you, but I've never heard of that happening, and I've played the game a very long time. So that's interesting. I don't know if that's a new policy or what, but that's good to hear if it's truthful.
We can go through their avatar, we can talk to them. So we want people to enjoy Entropia Universe, how it's actually supposed to be.
That's what the gambling industry calls self-exclusion, but this is a quote from Malcolm George, the CEO of the British Association of Bookmakers. Quote, "For self-exclusion to be effective, it requires the individual to acknowledge there is an issue with their gambling." Can you see a conflict between you providing tools for players to self-exclude in the manner of the gambling industry while denying to your players that they are playing a gambling game?
So, why does he have an iPad? That's my entire thing. He literally is he's throwing hard questions and quoting British law, and quoting laws and that, like, he had to have prepared to, like, he had to have prepared something ahead of time just to basically just roast him and try to make him admit something that you and me both know is not necessarily true.
You keep on coming back to this. I'm saying to you, Entropia Universe is a skill-based game.
Yes, but it's your players referring to one another as gamblers that gives me the confidence to return to the notion that Entropia is
you're talking to people,
skill-based.
You're talking to individuals, which are giving you their individual idea of what something is. I can give you many other people which will give you a different view.
I spoke to Entropia players who've invested thousands or even tens of thousands of US dollars into property, land deeds, and virtual items on the basis that that money is not gone because they can expect to sell those virtual assets on to other players. But there's a possibility that Entropia could become less popular in the future, enter a decline, and then that demand disappears. What happens then to the players who are still invested?
Okay, well, just like any, we can say country, any business, it's a supply and demand. So this is why the fluctuation in prices of different items inside Entropia Universe, so that if we made Entropia Universe as a persistent virtual world, skill-based, which is continually being developed.
I'm not doubting MindArc's commitment to Entropia continuing. What I'm thinking about are scenarios such as the appearance of a competing game, because Entropia is so unique, but that might not always be the case.
So I will say this, Virtuaverse is being developed and it looks to be a very cool game. Virtuaverse, and there's a couple of other crypto-based ones that are being developed that look pretty cool. Like Decentraland, etc., etc. So, I know there's not one that's fully featured, but yeah.
Thinking about new government legislation, or even things like an accident or a fire at MindArc's offices or a court case. So I suppose my question is, are you not concerned at all that should Entropia end outside of the control of MindArc, that could be a devastating financial blow to the players who've invested and supported it most?
No, I don't think so. The basic functionality of Entropia Universe is very sound, and it's an economy, and economies naturally go up and down. So any kind of thing which would happen if there's a fire at MindArc, there wouldn't be any development for a period of time, and people would be losing interest. We would then be coming back, and probably coming back even stronger. If there's anything which happens in the real world, which is happening now, which actually makes people play even more. But
I've seen the stats. Yeah.
So all these type of things are something we take into account. We do have lawyers. We do follow the rules and regulations of what we can, what we can't do. We've been looking at loot boxes. We've changed the minimum age of entry.
Yeah, I really think MindArc has done a lot of good things for the game in the past few years for the better, and they've done a lot of good integrity changes. And he's about to get on to a point on they finally changed the EULA that I wasn't aware of to be at 18 or above, and that's very, very awesome.
Entropia Universe now, it's 18 years old. We're making sure that we're really on the spot of doing that. Entropia Universe is not just graphics. There's a lot behind it. Balancing those hundreds. I can't remember exactly how many individual items there are in there, but there's a shitload, I can say.
How long was Entropia operating with the minimum age of players not being 18?
We changed that last year.
Wow! Oh, so 2003 to 2019.
We did have it that I think it was 14 or 15, but you needed your parental consent.
Just one final question. I, again, while interviewing one of Entropia's players, heard about one player that player knew who found themselves so compelled to appear on the Hall of Fame in Entropia, to be one of the people who got the biggest rewards when crafting, that he had to refinance his house. A case of...
Okay, so this one was kind of taken out of context. I did tell him that never die. He refinanced one of his homes to get into funding. I don't remember what project. And that I think during that exact same sentence, I did say there are also people that have lost, like the top 3 EP explosion projectile crafters, or have lost almost 100,000 USD already. And the explosive projectiles have only been out since 2016, I believe, maybe earlier. I think that he got that confused. But I know at least the top, I forget who it was, but like a negative 100K even with globals and Hoffs. So I feel like that was taken out of context and like not necessarily the exact same. That being said, there are people that have more that have like sold real life assets like a car to get into the game, and those are not that's not smart people. Don't condone that, but still,
a player absolutely spending more money than they can afford. Actually, I just wanted to know on a personal level how that makes you feel.
I think you can just look around in the real world and see there's people which I know personally, and then nothing to do with Entropia Universe, which have got themselves in problems, which things happen personally which change people's lives. We want to make people's lives better. We want to help them and control and not control it, but we can control their gameplay in a way.
What are they doing for that? Like I said, I've never heard of them emailing a player. It may just be shameful, but that's interesting.
So that they can be free to do what they want to do, but in a safe environment as well.
You want to ensure that they make sure they play responsibly.
Yes, that's it. There's no advantage for us as a company to have people getting themselves into trouble.
If they're not still having fun when they're losing, then maybe it's time to stop.
Responsible gaming.
Oh man, that was an interesting video for sure. Just a reminder, I am not for or against either party. I'm playing devil's advocate here. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment what you thought. It's interesting to see some of an outsider's perspective looking in, and I definitely think that this is a good video overall. Just this last part has been like really something needs to be said. Yeah, they might be doing the responsible gaming stuff, but as a longtime player, I've never seen that. I mean, might be there. I don't know. I don't spend much money on a monthly basis, so I don't think I've ever been emailed. That's interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching, though. Oh man, that was an interesting video for sure. Just a reminder, I am not for or against either party. I'm playing devil's advocate here. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment what you thought. It's interesting to see some of an outsider's perspective looking in, and I definitely think that this is a good video overall. Just this last part has been like really something needs to be said. Yeah, they might be doing the responsible gaming stuff, but as a longtime player, I've never seen that. I mean, might be there. I don't know. I don't spend much money on a monthly basis, so I don't think I've ever been emailed. That's interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching, though. Oh man, that was an interesting video for sure. Just a reminder, I am not for or against either party. I'm playing devil's advocate here. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment what you thought. It's interesting to see some of an outsider's perspective, looking in, and I definitely think that this is a good video overall. Just this last part has been like really, something needs to be said. Yeah, they might be doing the responsible gaming stuff, but as a longtime player, I've never seen that. I mean, it might be there. I don't know. I don't spend much money on a monthly basis, so I don't think I've ever been emailed. That's interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching, though.